Everything you need to know about silver right here, right now. We'll talk about the price action this week, but more importantly and more interestingly, we'll take a look at the big picture, the big stories, the big factors affecting the silver market. How are things going to look a month from now? How are things going to look a quarter or 1 year from now? That's what we want to talk about. We're going to do that and more, me and you, yes you, in this video right now. So how are you feeling about the silver price right now? I feel pretty good. It started the week around $22 per ounce, ended the week at $21 per ounce, so it was actually down about 4% for the week. But if we're smart about things and broaden our view to like the last month, we realized that just 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had silver as low as $17.50 per ounce. So $21 per ounce, it's not a great price. Do you think it's a fair price? No. Can you buy it at your local coin shop for any price near that? No, but that's another discussion. Nonetheless, it has done well over the last month or so. We're going to expect ups and downs. Last week was a little bit of a down, about 4 or 5%, but things will continue to get better in the future. Now let's look at the silver miners, the SIL ETF. It was down about 3% for the week. Started the week at $28.23 per share, ended the week at $27.37 per share, not down quite as much as silver. The miners on average actually did a little better. Well, warm up your crystal balls, put on your space goggles, because now we're going to talk about the big picture factors affecting the silver market. We're going to look out into the future and give some credence to our thesis that silver is a wise investment. Before we do that, let's all say hi to Rude Awakening. He's a regular commenter and viewer of Ron's Basement. And if you would like me to say hello to you, or maybe a loved one, or maybe sing happy birthday, just send an email. My email is always at the top of every description of every video. I'd be glad to accommodate your needs within reason. And if you enjoy my video, please subscribe right here. Now let's get back to the meat of the matter. Let's talk about some big picture items. And the first thing we're going to talk about is a comment that I read from a gentleman named Dave Erfley. He writes a newsletter called the Junior Miner Junkie. He also writes a weekly report for Kitco. It's excellent information, and I want to read you a little segment that he had in there about the level of silver in the COMEX warehouses. I was shocked when I heard this. He said this: the outflows on the COMEX of physical silver since February 2021 have been significant. Should this trend continue at the same pace, the COMEX will be drained by late March 2023 of available physical silver. That is only 5 months away, with traditionally strong demand months coming up. Did I read that correctly? Let me know what you think. But what I read in that is that if the current rate of depletion of silver inventories at the COMEX continues at the current rate, there'll be nothing left by March. Doesn't that mean the COMEX does kind of like the CTX cryptocurrency exchange did? It kind of blows up. I mean, we really could be in for a major silver squeeze. And guys, we've got to think about this. Take a step back and think about this. The COMEX is where the big money players trade, right? They trade 1,000 ounce bars, big contracts. I think the minimum contract size is 5,000 ounces. The big money players are pulling physical metal off the exchange, out of the vaults. That means they're going long on physical metal. They're taking delivery of the metal. That also means they want to eliminate what? Counterparty risk. That means the risk that you're relying on someone else to hold on to your asset, because now you're taking it into yourself. That's like if you have money at a bank. You have counterparty risk because you're relying on that bank to be a good custodian of your money. They're eliminating that. They don't want anybody else to hold their metal. They want it in their possession. Again, that's the big, big money. There's a lot of other multimillionaire billionaires out there besides Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. There's people that have a lot of money, and what they're doing right now is they are acquiring the physical metals. Let me know what you think about that. And I have one more thing. I can't believe I have another positive thing to say about this, about the big money, but also it's very rare that the big commercial banks are net long on silver contracts. And from what I'm hearing, that's also the case right now. We got a lot more to cover, but now let's switch over to a recent Reuters article that stated the deficit in the silver market is at near record highs. This year, 2022, we'll see an almost record deficit. That means the demand for silver is significantly higher than the supply of silver right now. Makes no sense, right? Drives us crazy because the price of silver is relatively low to where it should be, but that is the fact. And those statistics came from the Silver Institute. I made a whole video on this subject. I'll put a link to it at the end of the video. You can check that out as well. Oh, and by the way, that supply side of that equation that we just talked about that's creating that huge deficit, that supply number coming on the market from 2016 to 2021, mine output, mine supply of silver dropped by almost 10%. And we got to talk about premiums, right? Real quickly. How do you experience when you want to go out and buy an ounce of silver right now? You can't touch an ounce of silver at any of the major online retailers for less than $25 per ounce. Realistically, you're looking more at $26 per ounce. Sure, if you want to buy like 1,000 ounces and you're going to pay with cash or a check, you might get a little discount, but the premiums are still sky high, and there's only one way they're getting away with that. That's because there's sky high demand for physical silver from the retail investors. And we are strong. We are a strong group. Heck, the Reddit Wall Street Silver community has real close to 230,000 members. The fight goes on. And what do you say we now switch to some fancy high-level economic talk? Let's talk about the United States Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell. Okay? Yeah, this week they threw out all their little governors that had hawk talk, is what I like to call it. They talk hawk, they hawk talk, like a bunch of hawks on a power line. Quack, 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 hawk, hawk, hawk. We got to be tight. We got to keep raising the rates, blah, blah, blah. That put some downward pressure on the markets in general and silver and gold this week. The dollar went up a little bit. It's all a bunch of squawking, talking, hawk talks. All it is. What needs to happen and what will happen? Hasn't the Fed been wrong about like everything over the last 20 years? When the market, when the herd, you are not part of the herd. I'm not part of the herd, right? We're out in front of the herd. We're looking out to kind of see where we want to go. But when the herd, the people that sit with their mouths open, watching TV all day long, when they realize, when they lose confidence, that's the big key word with the Fed, confidence, that the Fed is actually going to be successful, they lose that confidence in their fight on inflation, that's when things really, really turn for the silver and gold market. I think that could happen in the next 3 to 6 months. Look, I don't have a crystal ball or crystal balls for that matter. That's just my prediction, but I think short term even, the future looks relatively good for the precious metals. The other thing we see out there on the horizon as we move ahead of the herd is we get to look forward to the Moscow World Standard, which will be a new central hub, clearing market, whatever you want to call it, for the precious metals to compete directly with the COMEX in the United States of America and the LBMA in London, England. And Vladimir Putin has already said he thinks the price of metals are manipulated. Heck, the Saudis and the countries in the Middle East say they think the price of oil is manipulated. Nonetheless, this is a video about silver. Silver will be traded on the Moscow World Standard on that exchange. And when a fair price, a fair market price is determined for silver, it will be much, much higher. And finally, let's talk about Michael Burry. I don't know where you are, but it's darn cold here in St. Louis. Michael Burry is the guy, the famous investor who called the collapse of the housing market, the mortgage-backed security market back in the financial crisis back in 2007, 2008. They made a movie about him called The Big Short. He's super high respected, super smart. He rarely talks. Okay? And he rarely, if ever, mentions anything about precious metals. Well, guess what? Last week, he made a comment and he said that when the crypto universe basically starts to implode and contagion sets in, that'll be the time that people look at gold. Now, why am I talking about gold? Because gold and silver, they're like first cousins, right? And do we have contagion? Do we have a pseudo collapse in the crypto market? I say we do. Have you heard of FTX? In this young prophet they had, whatever his name, Sam Friedman, Bankman, something like that. I don't know. It's a big scandal, a big Ponzi, a massive issue. They say it's even worse than Enron, the regulator who's in there trying to figure this out. The whole point is, and this is what Michael Burry was meaning when he said that, was all those people that are in crypto, right? They may come to the original cryptos. What are the original cryptos? What, the cryptos that have been around for 5,000 years and aren't just unicorn fart dust, but actual, real, tangible items, silver and gold, right? The crypto people want to be out of the fiat money system. What do you think silver and gold have done for the last 5,000 years? We've been at this for a few more years. They haven't even been at it for 5,000 days. We've been at it for 5,000 years. Hey, thanks for joining me here in Ron's Basement. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you and you giving me your time. There's only one you, and I'll see you next time.